So think about kids are being exposed to inappropriate content, even by family members, by friends, by people they know. It's rarely the strangers on the street that our kids are getting this information from. It's often their own peers or family members or cousins, things like that. We see that our kids are being exposed to things in sleepovers and at friends' house, that there's things at their fingertips on a regular basis. We also know, we see that more kids are abusing kids. Why? Because children are being exposed to pornography and explicit material, and they don't know where to go with it. So think of a young teenager who's been exposed to pornography, they're watching it, and they're thinking, I want to experience this. And maybe it's with a peer, maybe it's with a sibling who they can convince to go along with them. That often pornography, when it goes unchecked, can have this rippling impact on harming other people. The danger of pornography as well is that, again, it can go unchecked for so long that a child can be exposed to one image and they're curious and it does something inside of them and they want to see more and they want to experience more. And you see this in many contexts where if they don't have an interpretation, if they don't have a way to think about or somebody helping them interpret it, then they're left to their own conclusions. So you can see why we can't afford to remain silent on the topic, that it is so important that we're proactively shaping the way our children think about this topic than waiting for the world, because somebody will be shaping how they think about the topic, and we often won't like who is doing it if we're not. So there's another way I talk about this. I talk about God creates, the world corrupts. God creates sex, the world tends to corrupt it with pornography and their own idea. God creates gender, the world corrupts it. God creates relationships, the world corrupts it. God creates food for enjoyment, and yet we tend to corrupt it. So as adults, we want to talk about these things in a creational way, that they are good, before the world comes in and corrupts it for them. So often, parents are afraid, especially, to talk to their kids about issues of sexuality. Why? Because we think, well, I don't want to corrupt my son or daughter. But the reality is, we're already thinking poorly about it when we think those things, right? That if God created it, it's good, it's inspiring, it's positive. It's just that God created it in a way that is meant to be lived. And anytime you go outside the way God created something to be lived, it won't deliver what it promises. It will become corrupted. So as adults, we need to think, how do my own views inform how I talk to young people about this? And I've got to address that. And then I want to talk about it in inspiring ways that aren't shameful or embarrassing, because the world will corrupt it. They will be exposed to the corrupted version. I love the picture, the analogy of counterfeit money, right? Those people that work with counterfeits don't learn to recognize the counterfeit. They actually learn the real thing, and they memorize it and study it and know it so well that whenever they're exposed to something that's a corrupted version of it, they recognize it right away. Well, that is our goal in parenting. My ultimate goal as a parent is not just to keep my kids safe, though it is a goal. My ultimate goal is to teach them God and His ways, and that they would walk with Him, and that they would know the Lord and His ways so well that when they see something that is not of God, they'll recognize it.